everyone. This is Elliot Serrano and Jose Melendez coming to you from Dreamland Comics in Schaumburg, Illinois. Thank you for joining us here yet again on CCW TV, where Jose and I make up probably the most outspoken pair in comics. We are comic connoisseurs, like that, right? Is that what we had agreed on before? Yeah, something like that. All right. In any case, we have some more topics of discussion today. We have books to review, things to talk about. So why don't we just jump into it by talking about a book that really, I kind of like to take a little credit for its success because we have talked about it so much, and because, quite frankly, the creators of Chew heard our hue and cry in our criticisms and directly responded to us on the CCW blog. So, if you haven't been reading the CCW blog, you've been missing it. But both John Layman and Rob Guillory are readers of the blog and watchers of this show. Chew number 5 by the aforementioned John Layman and Rob Guillory presents a very startling chapter in the story of Tony Chew. This is a review rife with spoilers, so if you haven't read it yet, stop now.
Tony Chew and his brother Chow Chew. Which I think is
Chow Chew. I gotta say,
that's probably one of the best names in comics right now.
Yes. Just in general, this book is an effortless. It's effortlessly funny. In the book, you know, whether it's the names or the situations or the way things, different topics are explored. What happens in this issue here? Tony Chew. Well, actually, in the previous issue. In issue number 4, word got back to Tony Chew's superiors at the FDA that a $1 million bounty was out on his head. And in the world of Chew, his boss doesn't warn the protagonist because he wants to protect him and save his life. It's because he doesn't want to deal with the paperwork, which it's pretty funny. But flashing forward to this issue here, and what was that opening scene again? How bizarre is this? They're making you have that in the previous issues. You have had a little opening splash about explaining Tony Chew's powers and what he's a psychopath. You know, where he can tell things from what he eats. So what happens in the opening panel here, the opening page? Tony's getting hit in the nose with a gun, watching blood splatter all over him from his partner getting shot, and yes, taking a bite out of a vacuum-sealed dead dog. A dead vacuum-sealed dog, remember? Mm-hmm. And which, you know, for Tony is pretty tough. And then
And then you see him crying out in pain and agony, but here's my number one problem that I have with this comic.
Well, hold on, because at the very last panel, I'm sorry, what does it say in the very last panel? After today, everything changes, meaning a big change happens in the book for Tony Chew. The way the story is going does change, and
it happens in the book, and I wish it would have stayed in the book, because when I saw this cover, I already was like, oh, so that's the twist?
The big twist?
Why? You know, and I do complain about covers nowadays. Covers today are very boring, and they don't really have anything to do with anything on the inside. Or I guess this is the exact opposite, because this has something to do with... Or this has everything to do with what's going on inside the comic, but then it gives away the entire plot twist.
Well, for you, it gave it away. For you, it gave it away, because for me...
And I'm not that smart. Alright? So, if I got it, it was kind of one of those things that I was like, oh...
Well, the cover for Chew number 5 has a picture of Mason dining on someone's ear, but you don't know whose ear.
Yeah, it is, because Chew's in the mirror there and his ear's cut off.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I never even noticed that. You know, you have a point.
Yeah, we'll see if that wasn't in there. That would have been completely different.
There you go. There you go. Well, I mean, you know, it's a compelling image. Wondering why is Mason doing that? But yes, the big shock ending of the book is that Mason kind of turns on Tony, and which really is a tremendous part of the mythos of this book, because up to this point, you know, Mason has been the one guy who's been protecting him and guiding him through and helping him, you know, use his powers and learn things. And then we have this great, you know, this revelation here that Mason doesn't believe anything having to do with the bird flu pandemic that led to the creation of the FDA as it is in this universe, and all the bizarre changes that have gone on here. So, a really dark turn for the series. Mind you, it's not like the book hasn't always been dark. It's always dabbled with dark imagery.
But it's usually dark humor.
Yes.
So, but it is dark, but there wasn't really anything humorous, which is fine because you do want to set up. This is the last part of the story arc,
right?
Of the Taster's Choice story arc. So you kind of need things to get serious, I think, to move things forward. Because again, this is. And it kind of reminds me of when I was like, man, this is really kind of depressing and dark, but it's really, really good because, and it kind of reminded me of back when Buffy needed to move things forward. Those are always the dark and depressing episodes. Are the episodes that move the story forward, got you to the next point, so you can start over again with the new storyline.
And what I really like about it too is that, you know, the way Layman and Guillory have set up Chew, they could easily have fallen into that pattern of having more and more adventures of Chew and Mason together. Chew and Mason. Yeah, really. And they could have gone with that nice pattern for a while. But you know what? You're right. It's the end of a story arc, and instead of really, you know, like decompressing things, they're like, bam, we're moving on to the next thing. This is the next step in the character's development, and things are going to change here, and this is going to, you know, we're going to switch things around. We're going to shuffle the deck and give Tony even bigger problems to deal with. So, the cover aside, which to you gave away the big spoiler ending, with John even asked me, when we would talk about this, to really be mindful that no one, you know, he had sent me in advance to read and said, please don't tell anyone about the ending, and I didn't even notice that bit about the cover, which just, I'm such a bimbo or a mimbo. I just, I'm totally oblivious to that kind of stuff. But still, you know what? It was a really good book.
No, it was.
It had probably the most action that you've had in a Chew book. It had some, Yeah, Mason just rips his ear
Goes
off.
all Mike Tyson on him.
Yeah, it goes Mike Tyson. Oh, little fact: Mason Savoy, named for the editor-in-chief of Comics Waiting Room, host of Comic Culture Warrior, Mark Mason. So that's where the name comes from.
And I do like that at the very end, there's a little Mason page, just like they used to do with the Chew, like telling what his powers are and stuff like that, and going back into his backstory. I thought that was pretty cool.
It's very cool. Actually, it's very cool. And you know what it's like? It gives a nice little bookend to the story arcs, which is very, very clever. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens next. And another thing, since I'm throwing out in stories here, behind the scenes stories, Brandon did name a character in Inferno for me. So if you read Inferno,
Brandon Jerwa,
named the character from his Inferno storyline in the Red Circle books after me. Bonus points and a prize to the person who can find it and who it is. So in closing, Chew is a great book. John, you're welcome. Jose and I have done everything we could to make this book the success that it is.
Yeah, didn't the first issue go through like 5 printings?
Yeah, and it's because we just kept talking it up.
Yeah, I think it has everything to do with us.
You know, we pretty much did. We've really made. I think we are kingmakers. now. We're kingmakers. So if you are a struggling writer and
Yeah, because
artist,
I have noticed that Dark Avengers and New Avengers have been falling in the top 10.
because we've been
And Chew is just flying.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
crazy.
yeah. So
It can't be a coincidence.
No.
No way.
no, it's the power, baby. We got the power.
Yeah.
Read the book. When we come back, yet another book that we really, really enjoyed because it was just a great combination of writer and artist. We hope you join us.